morning. Welcome to the Inside Job Podcast. Today I have Miss Josephine B., the founder of The Next Chapter. Good morning. Welcome.
Good morning.
Thank
you for having me.
Yes. Give a song. Thank you for being here. Listen, I was looking on your website and looking at your story. You have a really unique story, and in the sense of trials, tribulations, overcoming, and then success. Mm-hmm. So this is perfect for me to have you on here, so that people can know and understand that some trials and tribulations lead to a successful road if you do it right. Because what is meant for evil, what's meant for bad, will be turned into good, right? So I'll let you talk a little bit more about it, but my understanding, the next chapter, it provides essential, tangible items, like toiletries, etc., education and employment. It's a support system, preparation for those who have been previously incarcerated, right? Mm-hmm. And so I'll ask you to expand on that a little bit later, talk about each one of those sessions, and then even the mission of your nonprofit organization. Mm-hmm. But before we go there, if we could get a little backstory on your life, how you ended up with the next chapter, and then we'll go into the successes of the next chapter. Is that all right?
Yeah, that's
all right. Let's go. Let's talk about it.
Okay, so it started, I'm a spiritual person. Yes, let me say that.
Okay.
And so since I was a little girl,
okay,
I experienced a lot of things like sexual abuse and being exposed to things that I shouldn't have been exposed to at an early age. Mm-hmm. And so, like I said before, to previous interviews and whatnot, is that my mom was the addict and my dad was the dealer. Ooh. And so that kind of exposed me to a world I wasn't supposed to be exposed to at the age that I was exposed to it. Mm-hmm. And then I kind of have some, like, my story's a little bit different than most. Mm-hmm. So my dad was the drug dealer, and he showed me the exquisite life, the expensive life, the luxury life. Okay. My mom, it was poor. And then my mom had remarried and moved to Iowa to get clean. Okay. And so she had met this man there, and she married him, and he was in my life since I was 3 months old. So he was my stepdad. Yeah. And so he was the middle class one. Mm-hmm. The one going to work, doing all the right things, and being there for me to show me that it doesn't have to be this way, and you're going to have to work hard to get where you're going, but it's possible. And so I would kind of rotate between those three. When mom was in the streets, I would be with stepdad. When real dad went to jail, I would be with stepdad. Oh, wow. And so I had three parents, and it wasn't until my son gave me this. And he was like, so you experienced all levels of life at a young age.
That's good.
And I was like, yeah, so now that I've experienced all levels of life, I kind of like the luxury, exquisite life, but I like it the right way.
Come on. Yes.
And so growing up that way, I was exposed to a lot. I was in public school, so I got to see kids that were, regular and everything. And then being with my dad, he put me in Catholic school. So here I am in the plaid skirts. Yeah. My dad has maid services. I'm with the vest, and all that stuff. So doing that, I really got to realize what I was going to have to do to get my life on track. Okay. And I wasn't always like that. And so I kind of went down the dark path. When the parents are telling you don't go in the street, there's nothing but death in the streets or jail. For some reason, I became attracted to that. Let me go see.
Let me see what you're talking about.
What you're talking about.
Right.
And that's when I had the realization that this life ain't for me. I was actually scared of it.
Praise God.
More than anything, because you find yourself in situations out there that are unimaginable. Oh, yeah. And now I'm running for my life, getting shot at, getting stabbed, like in my eye.
Oh, my God.
And it was just too much for me. So I knew I didn't want to be a gangster, And so then I just started going over here to the like middle class scale. Okay. And I seen a lot of people working, and they were working hard too. But they weren't in trouble.
Okay.
You know, we had some different struggles and tribulations over there, but it wasn't some of the devilish ones.
Right.
You know, so after I got there, I was like, well, this ain't really what I want to kind of do, you know, and I want to help people. And that's when I had transitioning, I was using all these resources to get my life on track, because now I got felonies. Now I then already did everything wrong, so now I got to refix and correct. And so I started using these resources, and I had gotten in trouble, and I was getting out of jail, and that's how I lived, you know. And now I got 9 boys, so
you have 9 boys.
Yes, and so now I got
your own
yeah.
body.
Yeah,
I just had to make that point.
I wanted a girl. She's no longer that serious.
Yeah. After 9, I would think not.
Yeah.
I would have made that decision a lot sooner, but that's just me. We got personal preferences.
I wanted that girl bad, but I told the boys that you guys will probably have all girls.
Yeah. That's good. Let me back up just a little bit. So, do you mind sharing what happened that landed you incarcerated?
Like I said, being in the streets.
Just being in the streets, okay.
And doing robberies. Like, my background is I have child abuse and neglect.
Okay.
And that's because when I was in the lanes, I was kind of lacking to take care of that part.
Boys.
But I was more financial providing, because that's the part my dad had taught me.
Yeah.
Like, as long as I provide financially, you don't need nothing else, right? And that's where I had it wrong.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. You can't. It's more than just being a provider.
Exactly.
You know, it is. You got the spiritual piece of it. You got the emotional piece. You got the mental piece of it. You know, and if you out of balance with any of that stuff, you know, so something's bound to go wrong. Something's bound to go awry. So, so I can understand that, and it's interesting that's, you know, that's how the route that you chose, but it was based on what you were taught. You just didn't know to do it the right way.
Right. And so I have aggravated armed robbery on my record, and I don't know why I thought I was with a guy, and I just thought we had like a Bonnie and Clyde relationship, and you know, the mindset was just all wrong, trying to fit in, and that's not the way to do it.
Yes,
and so I had did that, but that's kind of a story that is along my journey too. Yeah. So as I got caught for that crime, I had did several. So when I was in the interrogation room, I didn't know exactly what crime they were talking about, and I kind of just told on myself. And they didn't even have me for that crime.
Ooh, see, that's when you're doing too much.
And that's when you're scared. You know, people intend to not tell why they're actually telling. Because, you know, there's a code in the street. Don't tell. But some people, you guys don't. You realize that ain't made for those streets, and they just in there causing chaos and corruption and stuff, not knowing what's coming. And so when I got in that room, I didn't know what was coming, so I became a teller. You see? So now back in the streets, now I'm known for telling, and now that's where them cuts came in, and all those things came in, trials and tribulations, like you said. Wow. But it's to the point now to where I feel like everything I went through, I was raised up just for this moment, if that makes sense.
Talk about it.
I had to be able to go through that so I could sit across the table from a person like me and have that relatability. Does it make sense?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Yes, ma'am. So with my other cases, I had selling drugs and stuff like that. I went into that. And with it was funny because I went into jail and I was scared. I'm not going to lie, I was crying. I didn't have no family up here. So I was in jail and I was scared. But God had put a woman in my life that kind of, you know, was there to remind me of who God is, what He do, and how to go to Him. So that's when my journey really started processing with God. And so I started to, everybody was telling me around me, like, no, you're going to go straight to prison and all that. And I was like, God, you know my heart, I can't go to prison. So that just ain't for me. So I wrote a prayer to God and to the judge. And so I put it in Psalms 107. And I just knew from that moment on I wasn't going to go to prison. I stood in front of the courts and I was the first person in Colorado to get community correction as a DLC client. And what that means is I'm going to the halfway house. And so most people have to wait inside the jail to go to the halfway house for their bed to open. But see, God did something else for me too.
Come on.
And he let me out. And so I got to wait for my bed on the outside and go get set up before I went into the halfway house. So I had always had a resentment with my mom because I had to grow up to realize this and have my own set of kids to realize what she was instilling and to realize that her best was enough for her.
Ooh, that's rich.
You know?
That recognizing that is rich.
And so at the point of growing up, I resented her. You know what I'm saying? There was a lot of hate there because I would blame her for decisions I was making. You know, and that wasn't the case. So when I lost my son and I'm in jail now, I'm writing my mom like, can you get my son? Because they're about to put him up for adoption and stuff because I wasn't doing what I was supposed to do. Yeah. And so my mom had wrote me a letter to tell me I can't take him, I'm dying. But my mom was an addict, so I was more of like, you're always dying, which was wrong. So 2 weeks after I got released, she did pass.
Oh, Lord, I'm sorry about that.
And so this family that God had blessed me with here in Colorado that got me on track a little bit was able to send me down there, go down there, carry my mom, you know, in her casket and make sure that I got to say goodbye.
Wow.
Yeah, so.
Wow, that's some deep stuff.
And with me always being in the streets, I lacked some of the things that a daughter would get from a mother. You know, because I was always in the streets. Yeah. And it wasn't until like 3 years ago where my sisters, because, you know, when I was in the streets and I was doing drugs and doing all this chaos and stuff, my family didn't want to talk to me. That's how you tarnish those relationships. Yeah. And so it wasn't until 3 years ago, when my sisters got back in contact with me and gave me a journal that my mom wrote of the last year of her life.
Wow, really?
Yeah, and I was in there quite a bit. Wow. And she was praying for me and everything.
Oh, come on. So that's so good.
It was amazing.
I love that.
So now I've took that and now I'm journaling.
Come on.
And stuff like that to leave something for mine.
Yes.
And so it's been a lot of trials and tribulations here. Yeah. And I have to go deep to get y'all to understand why I am where I am now.
Yes. Well, I appreciate that. That's what I asked you to do. You know what I'm saying? Because sometimes you do need that understanding. You do need that backstory because we're in a world now where, you know, everybody has something to say. Everybody has a podcast. Everybody has, you know, something to say. And so by you providing that backstory, I think that is so valuable because you've been through a lot. That's a lot to go through, and then to be successful. So there's people always want to see what the other side looks like, or need to see what the other side looks like. Even though they're in the struggle or in that journey right now, there's another side. There's another side that's good, you know, that you can overcome that. So wow, that is amazing. So you know what I heard? You know, your mother, she may not had kind of showed you all of the things that our moms are in our lives to kind of prepare us on short for, but she showed you something very important. And that journaling piece, because you didn't know your mom was praying for you. You didn't know, you thought she was just, you know, out there in these streets and didn't even have you on her mind. She had you further on her mind. She had you on her heart. That's rich.
Yes.
Come on, because sometimes we can't display it to you, like up front, like, you know, hey, daughter, I love you, you know, hey, keep your panties clean, do this, do that, do this, do that. But she was doing one of the most important things, which was praying for you. I just want to throw something. That is so freaking good. I think that's very rich. That's so good. Wow. All right. So, and then, you know, just it being just 3 years, that's still kind of fresh, you know. So you're mended, you have a good relationship with your siblings?
I'm still repairing those because I caused a lot of damage in those, and that's what happens when you're kind of in recovery. Okay. You go around and you start repairing, righting your wrongs. Yes. And so that's where I am now, and it's kind of me breaking generational curses a little bit because it trickled down for my son that was took, from me. He came back into my life when he was 14, and now I'm repairing that relationship too.
Oh, well, good. Praise God for that. Oh, that's good. That's good. That's good. Because you know what? And I think it'd be important to say this, that all recoveries aren't because, you were strung out on some drugs or heroin or anything like that. Those stories are rich and valuable as well, too, because they're pretty deep. The living on the street and homelessness and all of that. But having to overcome, and recovery can come from, just hanging out, just being a, thug, knucklehead kind of person in the streets, robbery, doing all that kind of stuff. You got to overcome that, too. You know what I'm saying? There's recovery from that, too. So I appreciate that. That's really good. So then so you go through these trials and tribulations, and then what happened after that?
So one of the things that I asked God for in that prayer that I put in 107, Psalms 107, was to help me be responsible, to teach me to be independent, because these were the things that I was lacking. And I didn't know so much how to do and piece together. And so, like I said, I was raised up to do this. And so he started putting them resources in my life to start connect. And I used them for probably 9 or 10 years.
Oh, wow.
But as I was using them, I was telling my friends, my family that I now made family, go here, they help me or whatever.
Yes.
But there was a problem because we were traveling the whole cities of Colorado to connect those resources. And so I was like, this is too much. Sometimes when you're getting out of incarceration and you are in halfway houses and you have schedules that you got to follow and timelines. And, so what I decided to do is see if I can put them together to where I can create a one-stop shop to help people like me.
Oh, that's good.
And that's how Next Chapter came about.
That is so good. That is so good. Because you know what? I think that, our prison systems, in a sense, sometimes set us up to fail, because when you come out of it, you don't have a car. Likely, most people don't have a car. If you got a felon, now, you're just going to struggle with getting a job, because most places won't hire you if you have a record. So the odds are against you. You know what I'm saying? So,
it's systematically designed that way.
Yeah.
That's how they eat.
Yeah.
We don't want, that's another conversation. Yeah. But I'm just saying that's just how it's been designed. And so with what you just said, it became like common sense to me. These are the steps I had to take to get on my feet. So make this a program. You'll go out here and take these same steps you took and connect with these same people that you came across and build it. So I became in my Noah stage at that point. Yeah. And so while everybody else was in COVID, I was doing Noah.
Wow. Ooh, that's so good. I love that. I love that analogy. That's really good for those who, know Noah and the story, the backstory behind that. Okay. All right. And so you worked.
I worked.
You put in the work. It didn't just come for you. And you said, 9, 10 years of doing that?
Resources, utilizing them, figuring out what they were doing. That's just because where I was at in my life. But I was helping so many people regularly that I was like, let's turn it into a nonprofit. Wow. And so I've always been a resource queen, so let's put it to work out. You got to utilize the skills and talents and gifts that you got to make room for you. And so that's what I started to do. I told you I thank God for how far he's brought me in my relationship with him. Because the closer I went to him, I was able to start identifying really with who I am. Because they said you're made in the likeness and the
image of.
Okay, so now you are connected with Source, and that you have those same abilities.
Girl,
you're created just like him. You can have an interpreter. If you don't have the vocabulary or whatever, because that's what he sent to Moses. You know what I'm saying? So you don't have to worry about anything. You have everything because he has everything, and you're connected.
Ooh, that is so good. Oh, that's rich. Yeah.
And so I started looking at my life as I started to read scripture and these stories as a disciple. And so I started to move my life like that. And when I did that, everything opened up. The world became a library to me. And it just got to, I seen through a different lens. And I started to be able to move the way I was supposed to be moving. So I asked God now to lead me and move me, and that's what's been happening.
Come on.
That's why I am where I am today. And he told me something. He said, I'm going to get you there, but remember to tell people how you got there. And that was through me. And so that's what I do now.
I'm trying to contain my excitement. I get excited when God is revealed, right? Because what that says, what I hear that saying to people that are listening is that if you follow this blueprint, you'll live a fruitful, righteous life. Come on, I get excited, so I'm trying to contain myself a little bit.
And what happens with most people is we're so used to our human ways and stuff, and so we have worry, fear, all these anxiety, all these things to where it makes it a little bit chaotic.
Yes.
What people have to understand, those things ain't from God. If you go towards so when you go towards God, things become simple. Go with simple. Listen, because He's talking. You just have to find that time. That's why Moses had to go to clear, in space in the mountains and stuff like that, so he could hear Him and receive Him. And that's what I've been trying to tell everybody. Take yourself from those things. Don't let distractions come in, because God is already revealing your purpose to you. You just have to stop and listen.
Listen, come on, you talking. You talking and teaching.
And that's the part of this, and that goes into my seed program. Okay. And so my seed program is the mental health piece of the next chapter.
Wow.
And so God has instilled in me a person that was in special ed, you heard me, that was in all these special classes, struggled with reading and all that stuff, to build a curriculum. I got a book. See how God works? To plant the seed in individuals' mind, to sustain a better condition of life.
Honey, do that.
And so with that seed, the mental health part is you're going to need to plan goals. And so I put in there realistic goals. And so this is what helped me on my journey. I had to put some goals in place and figure out how to work them goals and what steps I would have to take. So now I'm teaching people how to break down their goals so that they can get that tangible result that they're looking for.
Come on.
Then the second part of my book is cognitive thinking. How to process those thoughts about the steps you're taking to keep moving forward. And so that you will be able to be successful, and how to put support systems in place, along your journey to help you with that. And my last chapter is self-esteem, because, being in recovery and an ex-offender, when you're out here in these lanes, you get rejection. Like you were saying in the beginning of this, them jobs is hard to get. So now we need to be able to handle rejection and keep on pushing forward. Because when you're starting a business, you're going to hear a lot of no's.
Yes,
If you're going to get a yes, and that yes going to count to you. You know what I'm saying? It's going to be dear to you. You know what I'm saying? But you only get them yeses if you continue to move on. During the no's, the rejection. So that's uplifting your self-esteem. So I just teach the people what God instilled in me and how He had me move past my obstacles and barriers and challenges. And now I'm just passing that on, giving back, moving forward.
Oh my God, that is so powerful, because God will use those less likely to, most people are like, what's she doing? What's Josephine out here doing? She was in the street. She can't. But those are the people that God uses.
And them are the people that Jesus went to. He didn't really go over there to the high class and middle class people. They already knew everything, right? That's what it was, right? He went to the poor people, the criminals. He went to the people that needed Him the most and taught the truth and said, follow me, I'm the way to the truth.
Anybody got collection plate? Let's go pass this thing, right? Because you talking, and I love it. I mean, I really am. Wow, that's good. That's really good. So you teach that as part of the next chapter. That's one of the things that they get when they come into your program.
Yes,
Like
ma'am.
that alone, you know what I'm saying, is valuable. That alone is priceless.
It's wellness.
Yeah.
Bringing awareness to your mind so that you can awaken to another level of your subconscious mind.
Look how many times I said pin that, because look, this whole thing, pin, I can't even get it out fast enough. The more you keep speaking, I can't even get it out fast enough.
Because what people don't understand, God sends his people. It's us that uplifts us.
Yes,
It's us that's
come
supposed
on.
to work together to teach each other.
You better
That's
pin
how
that.
we learn.
You better say that.
And one thing I try to tell my team, because my team is a blessing, I will say that, don't worry about the mistakes you make, because we learn from those. We're supposed to make mistakes in order to learn. Sometimes they be big. You be like, God, I wasn't trying to make that one. Right. But, God already wrote in the book how you were going to make those mistakes and how you were going to recover. Yeah. So when I tell you I feel like I was raised up just for this, I mean that. Because there's no way I could have sat from a person across from me being an ex-offender if I didn't become one.
Yeah. Yeah. That is so good. Wow, that's so good. Okay. All right. So that being like, and I'm glad that you started there, not to say that the rest of your program isn't just as good. I think coming in with that one, is valuable and rich in the sense that that's the first thing we ought to be having is God in our lives. That's not against anybody who isn't, believe in God or whatever, but they believe in something. And so having that spiritual peace, it comes first. It comes first. So this is all in order, So then you have, the providing the essential tangible stuff. Do you get donations, or how do you come up with that?
Well, I have got donations, but for 3 years, my team and my husband, we've been funding this organization.
Look.
And I believed in it so much that I was like, this is what I'm going to do for our people, God's people. This is what he instilled in me, and it turned into everything else.
Yes. Ooh,
and
good.
the reason why I have the tangible side is because, when you get out of jail or, you're about to go into sober living, you absolutely have nothing. You're at ground zero. And to take a little bit of that financial burden off of people, to where they don't reoffend, to go back to what they know, I'm willing to do that.
Yes.
And so we supply the hygiene, and, you're going to need work. So we're going to help you get your ID and your documentation to make sure you can go to the work, to your job. And then we're going to provide you with bus passes and stuff so you can get to A to B.
That is so good.
Because with probation, you got a list of stuff you got to do. And so after that, we're going to get you ready for interviews and stuff like that. We're partnered with business people, and they'll come in and do mock interviews with you to make sure that you secure the job. And then we're partnered with staffing agencies. And staffing agencies will take you with your criminal background, no matter what it is. And
that's good to know.
They'll hire you permanently, after you do 5 months of being on time and doing all that stuff. So you got to earn your spot. You know how that goes. And then climb up. And so I just provide that starter kit for them to get started, to where they don't go back in the streets and reoffend.
Wow, that is so good. That is so good. And you know what? Because you and your husband and your team, are givers like that, God provides the provision. And so everything that you give out, you get back. So that's really good. But, even better, listeners and everybody out there, I will have Josephine's information on the website and all of those things. And at the end of this episode, where you can donate. You can donate to her, help out. Let's help each other out. That's what that looks like. You know what I'm saying? That's exactly what that looks like. That is so good. Now, do you have just like an office? You don't have people like living, do you have like a living home?
No, I'm partnered with Kelly.
Okay.
And so Kelly helps us out with getting
the
people.
Mahanas.
Yes.
I love them.
And Bree, my girl.
Yes.
And so they help us out with getting them right, people that are, dealing with sobriety issues and recovery and stuff, so they take them into their facilities. And I'm also partnered with other people that are doing the similar things and stuff.
Yeah. Oh, that's good.
And so now we're going for the youth. And so now we're trying to get in youth facilities and alternative schools to help plant that seed.
Come on.
Do our seed program in there and provide the financial stuff that they need as well. One thing I've been trying to conquer that is a big issue out here, trying to find the resource to connect people to, is housing. And that's been a bit of a struggle. So.
Yeah. It's a struggle. Even if if you haven't had those challenges and struggle, one, it's so expensive.
Man.
Most places, unless you have like a doctor or attorney type salary, or maybe not even that field, but if you got to be in some 8 figures salary to afford a place by yourself.
Or they need to just ease up and change some of the rules.
That part.
Because, with our housing, low-income housing and Section 8 and all these things, it's a part on there where you can't be a felon.
Yeah.
And
Oh, yeah, that's true.
You kind of need to change some of these rules, because because you're a felon don't mean you don't need no help.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's true. So, we gotta work in that space. I don't know if we go to legislation or...
That's exactly where we go to.
Okay. Yeah.
And that's where our laws get made and rules get made. We got to start attacking those issues and being the voice for our people, advocating for them.
Come on, that part.
Because that's how this works.
Yes. So. Yes, that is. You know what? It would be lovely to just see, that unfold and that come to pass. And if it takes enough of us to do it, one person, you can go in there and you can try to fight, but we don't stand alone in this. And the more of us that participate, those that do have, the fortunate, have the money to be able, to help out or whatever, let's pull together. Let's pull together and make this happen, because, but like you said, it's how they eat. So it's designed that way, and that's not a secret. That's not a secret.
But I believe we're in different times now, and God is pulling his people. Like he's pulling you to be a voice. He's pulling me to be a voice. My boy Vic to be a voice. So that he's got people moving.
Yo, he does.
And it's about to be a change. Get ready.
Get ready. Oh, my God. Get ready for your miracle. Oh, sorry.
I get like that, too. Sorry. I was trying to contain myself, like, don't do it.
Come on, let's do it. Yeah, take the cuffs off.
It's the hype.
Yeah. Oh, wow. This is so amazing. You never know people's story. So when I interview people and then they come on, we just sit down and get ready to talk about it. My mind gets blown every single time, because these stories are so rich. These trials and tribulations and journeys and testimonies. I'm grateful that I have this opportunity to provide you to talk about that and for other people to hear about it. Now let's take it another step further and let's help. So let's not let it stop just at conversating about it.
Let's put some action behind that.
Come on.
Some active action.
Yeah. Oh, wow, that's good. So, I seen that you have, well, at least on your website, you have a staff of 9 individuals. Do you have more? Or
yeah, there's about 15 of us.
It's about 15 of you guys.
Yeah,
okay.
And so I'm getting my website updated and all that stuff, so you guys will start seeing other faces pop up and pop around.
Okay.
Because it's, like I said, God calls his people. He call them. So they just coming.
Yeah.
Vic's got to go up there, too.
An airplane?
Yes, that is.
Oh, I'm sorry. Like, I ain't never heard that before. I'm like, what?
Miami's talking to you. Paris.
Sorry, I know the look on my face was like, what the what? Sorry, literally that's the first time I've ever heard it that loud, right? That thing was right outside in the parking lot. All right. Distracted, sorry. So that's good. So your staff, I looked and see, not that this matters, because I imagine that you help whomever or whatever.
Whomever.
But I really loved and I enjoyed seeing that, at least on the website, you know, you have all black staff.
Mm-hmm.
No, because we do have to give props to that. You know what I'm saying? All of the all black businesses. That's not saying that we don't help others, but other races take care of themselves too, their family, their people. And so
see, I don't like calling them staff. I like saying that's next chapter family right there.
Hey,
We
let's
family.
call it that.
Yeah.
Let's call it that because. Vic, he's my family. I introduced him to, as that. They're like, okay, is that your brother? Is that your uncle? I'm like, it's just my family. I mean,
That's
he's
it.
the producer, but that's family.
That's it.
So yeah, that's they're no longer staff out my mouth to you.
Because
That's
God
family,
said,
so.
we're all brothers and sisters, right?
Yeah.
We all His children.
Yeah.
So we all family.
Yeah.
Whether we look
Yeah.
at it like that or not.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Oh wow. Great. So what's up next for the next chapter? What's up next for the next chapter?
Me, I have a dream where I want to be mandated throughout the courts, and I want people to have to go through the SEED program. And so I want the judge to give them chances, before he even sentence them. Do this program. If you complete it successfully or whatever, then we can throw something else on the table instead of incarceration. But if they do get incarcerated and have to do that, because we know some of these, we got consequences to our actions.
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
And so after that, still mandate them over here to the next chapter. Tell them to take the SEED program.
That's good. Now, are you before the courts?
Not
Pushing
yet.
that, not
but
yet.
it's happening.
It's coming.
It's coming.
Okay. That's what's next.
That's what's next.
That's good. That's a great idea and a great direction. And it's my prayer that they'll hear that, heed it, take it, mandate it, because it can change lives. It'll keep people from re-offending.
And one thing I like that is a little different with our business is that we have the lived experiences to help you.
Oh, I love that so much.
We have the relatability. We've already walked this path.
Yes.
It's just different when a person that hasn't walked that path, try to guide you on yours.
Yes.
And so there's no relatability.
Yes.
I need somebody that walked this to come kind of teach me.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And you know what? That's important because me, I'm a life coach, a relationship coach, and an intimacy coach. And people, will tend to not, if you've not been through some things, and I got some book knowledge. I've gone to school, you get your paper, but there's something about the experience that's a greater teacher. It's better, you get more. It's more enriched, so that I can see that being some truths there.
And they will get to connect to those business affiliates and all that along their journey, but this is just where it starts.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then as you keep on continuing to go to the next chapter, you'll continue to, go in those rooms, because that's what happened to me. I wasn't business knowledgeable and stuff like that until I started this, and now I'm in those rooms gaining my education.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow.
Whether it comes from a person like you, like Vic, or people that I'm up there trying to learn how to move this thing with, I'm getting it.
Yeah. Oh, wow. That's good. That is so good. That is so good. So the next chapter, your idea is to have it mandated, and then what's after that? Do they get to come back, and how they have alumni, and then they help up the next person.
That's what happens.
Oh, that's so good.
And then we know with crime, right? It's global. It's big. They ain't never been able to stop it. You know what I'm saying? It's just going to happen. Yeah. So my dreams is big. But God, God is big. He moved mountains. Look at them mountains outside. They big. So I want to go everywhere. I want to go global. I want my program everywhere.
Come on.
Because when God gives you something, it's more than what you can imagine. So I feel He gave me something so big to reach millions of souls.
Yes. Well, come on, let's go. I'll go with you. I'll go with you to the next level. I'll see you, alongside of me as we climb to the top. Because for me, this doesn't stop here.
Right.
One of my business partners, we collect we don't even collect, we buy, we do collect the bags, but we go and buy like toiletries and things like that. Excuse me, and we'll go like on Kofax or Plaid and all of that, and we just pass them out, to the homeless people, because like you said, you don't have nothing. You don't have nothing out there. You don't have anything when you get out. But this is, for the homeless people, sandwiches, a meal here and there.
And they say it takes a village to raise a child. What do you think it takes to do community?
Come on.
It takes us.
Yeah.
That's it. It takes multiple of us in different subjects, fields, categories, all that to pull together.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Wow. That is, I am so grateful that you have come on the show and we've had some conversation about it. As our time is wrapping up, I usually like to just, give you full mic. Is there anything that you need, tips, tools, anything that you would like to say in closing here?
My advice to everybody that's listening to this is be inspired to believe in you. And that's it. Believe in you and allow your gifts and talents and skills to make room for you.
You heard it. You heard it here on the Inside Job podcast, Healed Inside Out. Take that advice, run with it, ride with it, do it, work it, and then let's see you on the table. Let's talk about it. This is, it's going to reach who it's supposed to reach. You know what I'm saying? It is. It'll get to who it's supposed to. It's going to inspire who it's supposed to, and I guarantee you it's going to be somebody.
Thank you.
It's going to be somebody. So thank you so much again for being here. Like I told you, out in the waiting area, this don't have to be a one-stop shop kind of conversation thing. I welcome you back anytime that you would like to come back. And as things grow and develop, I would love to have you back.
Thank you.
So you keep striving. You keep that one foot in front of the other, and you keep doing you, and we're going to ride next to each other.
Right. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. You have a good one.
You too.
Woo!